threes, we got twos, we got ones, and we got action. Welcome back. Say Something family in the building. Got Mitch to my left. Of course, another week to be with y'all means tons of sports to talk about. We've missed a couple of things, and so we have plenty to catch up on. But do not fear. That's what today's show is here for.
Yes, sir.
So as you know, traditions are traditions. We're going to start with our check-ins. Take your time. Do your check-ins. Whatever that means for you, or whatever that means for the people around you. You never know when it might make a big difference in a day, or in a week, or in a life, whatever, right? So, Mitch, tell the people how you feeling. How's everything going?
I've been feeling good. Lots of sports, lots of big things been happening, so I'm excited to talk about that. Been able to get outside, go on some hikes recently, so that's been nice. Get some fresh air. You guys go out there, walk around a little bit. I know we can get stuck in the house, but it's only going to get colder.
Right.
So do it now while the sun's still out. But everything's been cool. How about you?
Good, man. You know, just really just trying to get through everything, looking towards this winter break. I will say the first portion of the semester is always the best because it's all the holidays, all the breaks back to back.
Right.
And then, the real stuff kicks in. There's only that spring break in that second portion and not as many holidays and just not as much stuff to look forward to. So I'm just utilizing all of that as real markers of relaxation and things to give me motivation. Excuse me, when I'm a little bit tired right now.
Right.
But other than that, I'm real good. I've been watching a ton of sports. I feel like, watching the Warriors. It's good to see the Warriors back no matter the state of them, right? The NBA, it's fun to see the NBA back, just nightly matchups.
Right.
So I just feel like I've kind of been soaking all that up while just charging up for whatever the next day has to offer, man. So it's kind of the routine right now. But as we always say, very excited to be back on the show. It's a check mark for me. Checkpoint, whatever you want to call it. And it does revitalize me, gives me energy as well, because this is stuff we like to talk about.
Right.
So without further ado, I'm going to let Mitch get into something that he usually likes to talk about, or in the offseason likes to talk about. But right now, there are times where these are the dog days, as they say. Right. But I'll let you take it away and explain in your own words where you're coming from.
So the Raiders just came off our last game, Thursday Night Football. Probably the worst game of the season. Nobody came out of there looking good. It was a 10-7 victory for the Broncos. But really, it was just a shit show for the Raiders, honestly. Yeah. I mean, at this point, why are we keeping Geno Smith in the game? I mean, it can't really get any worse than this, can it? I had a big question on why we weren't able to get Brock Bowers the ball. We just played the Jaguars, another team we should have beat, but ended up losing to by 1 point. But he had 12 receptions, 127 yards, and 3 touchdowns. All right. And then a week later, he has 1 reception for 31 yards on 1 target. He's the only guy we got. We just got rid of Jacoby Myers. We traded him away to the Jaguars after we played. He was like, "Oh, this place looks pretty nice. You guys might as well just leave me here. I don't need to get on the flight. I'm chilling." So we traded. I think we got a 4th and a 5th round pick for Jacoby Myers. So sad to see him go. But now we actually don't have any wide receivers. I think everybody's pretty much on the Tibbins scale on either being a practice squad player or actually being an actual NFL player. I think we have Deontay Thornton now.
Rookie. We
have Trey Tucker. We have Tyler Lockett.
Yep. The vet. And
that's what we have.
Jack Beck or something, but he doesn't even.
Yeah, Jack Beck, the rookie, but he hasn't been able to do much
any tick. Yeah.
And really, Mykel Mayer. I mean, again, I know it's not the same, but we saw the Patriots 2 tight ends, right?
Yeah.
We had Gronk, we had Aaron Hernandez. Obviously, 2 great talents with a Tom Brady, but we got Mykel Mayer and Brock Bowers. Let's just feed them a lot.
Right.
And then we got a guy named Ashton Genty that we can hand the ball off to. But the line looks terrible. We were losing guys on the line, so having backups to guys who are already majority backups as our starters makes it even rougher. Our defense is just a bunch of Pete Carroll's players from old teams. So they're just out there having a good old time. It's like a retirement home on our defense. We got like Devin White, Jamal Adams, like just a bunch of guys where it's just like, all right, well, at least we got Max Crosby doing something, but there's only so much he can do. I think we need to give Kenny Pickett a try and just anything at this point. Like, again, trade for Shedeur, or we missed it. We missed out on trading for Shedeur, but it's just like we got to do something different. 2-7 right now. I know these weren't the expectations when Pete Carroll took over the job, but I don't even think he's understanding what's going on right now. The play call from Chip Kelly looks terrible. We're throwing screen passes when we could do run plays. Bro, we ran a QB sneak on a 3rd and 2.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
nasty,
bro. What? And like, didn't even get. We might not even have gotten a third and inches. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
It was so bad, and so just the play calling is suspect. The offensive line is terrible. We got guys out there that we can't get it to because Geno Smith is running for his life. Denver was making a bunch of tackles after the fact. There was no flags called at all. Just a terrible game and a terrible season so far. Like, there's really no excuse for it. The Raiders looking bad from the top down, and that's why we're now 2-7. We beat the Patriots week 1 before they could figure out anything, and then we beat the Titans, who are just as bad as us. So we got the Denver Broncos. We're 8-2 now. They just been beating up on a bunch of bad teams. We just saw how bad they were. They did this against the Raiders. So crazy to see on 2 bad teams, but one's 2-7 and the other is 8-2. That's just like crazy to see.
Right.
But moving forward, we got Dallas for Monday Night Football coming up, and I mean they're terrible too. But I don't know how you get any worse than the Raiders. I mean, they're kind of a joke every time they're on TV, and it's like prime time. The announcers are just having to find things to talk about Max Crosby because there's really nothing else. They talk about Brock Bowers, and I wonder why they're not getting it to Brock Bowers. They really don't have anybody else. So it's just questioning simple things. You'd think, hey, let's just have about 15 plays written up just for Brock because he could be our number 1. He's a receiver at the tight end position.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see no hope moving forward. I mean, if you watch that game on Thursday, I know you probably turned it off by the freaking end of the second quarter, halftime. You're already done with it, but they got the Cowboys, and they're going to find a way to win. I'm going to say 2 touchdowns for their running back, and Ferguson gets a touchdown, gets 2 touchdowns, and they just win it like 31-7. That's what we got looking forward to moving forward, unless we make a change. Kenny Pickett, force your way into the QB1 position. Say, hey, guys, we tried everything else, right?
Trade
Holler at
Shedeur.
me. Can't even trade anymore with the freaking trade deadline up. So on to better things. Let's talk about the 49ers a little bit.
Yeah. I mean,
that seems to know what they're doing.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. I think that when you look at this season, it's definitely like it's a great example of when you see 2 organizations that one has had a little more ground under their feet for a longer period of time,
Mm-hmm.
whereas I think that there are actually some solid folks now in the Raiders building, right? But I think that the impact, like Pete Carroll's impact, you can't necessarily think it's going to be felt after 1 year or whatever with the players. But like you were saying, we don't have anybody out there. And coaching, this shows that there is still such a power in front office and coaching in terms of what can get you to a victory, and that there are different ways to get there.
So I would look at it like this. Like, you see how the Giants are now they got Buster Posey.
Mm-hmm.
Young just came out of playing not too long ago.
Right.
They're getting young. They're moving up young players, trying to get young. They bring in a coach who can connect with young players.
Yeah.
Well, the Raiders did kind of the opposite. They got an influx of great young talent,
right?
And then they brought in an old guy to like bring in shit that was like, I've been doing this for 20 years. It's been work, but we need something different. Like whatever has been done for the Raiders is we got to have a little more excitement, a little more like just youth, and especially in terms of the coaching, just to bring something different, because what we're seeing is just a lot of the same, and it's looking ugly. So I just think we'd be better off maybe trying to appease our young guys and like feed into the young movement rather than like, oh yeah, let's bring in a storied coach to bring in his old players to then try and mesh with these young guys, even though they might be a step out of the league trying to mesh with these young, it's just
Yeah. No, I definitely agree.
For a mix.
I think it's a valid point. Definitely. I mean, we'll definitely be able to get a more conclusive answer after next year. If he's still swimming, and moving nowhere, doggy paddle, then we'll know this was not it from the get-go. Hopefully that's not the case for the guy. But yeah, I mean, I think that's a valid point. I don't think a lot of people are talking about that. And I think, there's definitely something to be said for going just a completely new route and reinvigorating players in that way by bringing in new blood, but like young life energy, all that stuff. So yeah, I could see that. And you're right. You guys have a bunch of youth, so maybe there's still time. But it would all start with the quarterback, right? Like at the end of the day, it starts and stops with the quarterback.
And there ain't nobody in this next class. Oh, my God.
No.
Sheesh.
No. But, hey, Shedeur might be out there. There might be some guys out there, in this offseason. Hopefully you guys don't act as shy as you guys have been with players that seem to make so much sense, where it's like, I mean, the guy wants to come. You guys are like, we're pretty good. Yeah, we're pretty good. Like, we're good. I don't know if you know we're a good football team. So, like, it's going to be hard to make it. And then you look back on it, and it's like, really? You played hardball with that guy? You know what I mean? You guys are, whatever record it is, right? So, anyway, on to the Niners. It is a happier situation, undoubtedly, I think, just in general, right, with the faithful and just the direction of this overall brand. But, I mean, this year it has everything to do with the coaching in the front office and nothing to do with the players in terms of just, what there is to cheer for or look forward to. Obviously, as you guys know, we're already not having Nick Bosa out there. He's gone for the season. We're already all-pro Fred short. He's gone for the year. And now we've lost Mykel Williams, the rookie baller.
Damn.
Who, really at the end of the day, I felt like no matter what was going to have a great opportunity this season to just really grow with all the reps. And he was already handling a high-volume amount of reps, when Nick Bosa was there. And so it was only going to increase, which maybe that's played into the injury. But it just seems like every time there's something to look forward to in terms of, this guy's coming back. And so maybe you could think about these two pairing together. It always seems like the guy who was waiting, is not even available by the time the guy who was in the wings is coming in,
For real.
And so that's just another common storyline with the Niners this year, where Bryce Huff is on his way back. Bryce Huff has been really good this year. I felt good about what Mykel Williams was doing, especially with the run, reading offenses in general, just playing smart and just a huge body. So I was excited to see a little bit of that thunder and lightning come back in, even though, again, like I said, we're still going to be missing tons of players for the rest of the year. I think that is also why we have decided to stand pat at the deadline. A lot of people, a lot of names were swirling around, and I think at the end of the day, if we were in any other position in terms of our roster, I think we would have made a move. I mean,
especially with Sauce and Williams going from the Jets. I see that.
Yeah, I think we would have gone Williams before Sauce for sure. Yeah, I think we would have gone Williams before Sauce. I think. But, and again, we can talk about that because there was a little bit of fleecing, I feel like, that went along. But no doubt about it, I think that, we would have made a move. I think Quentin Williams would have been perfect. I think there were several names. I think we would have made a real strong push for Trey Hendrickson.
Yeah.
I think Jalen Phillips we might have made a push for. And then the other guy that I know we did make a push for and it just didn't work out was Jermaine Johnson.
Yeah.
So I think we would have pushed one, if not two of those deals across the table had we had a couple of these other guys that we felt like we could rely on to be there for the rest of the season. So that brings us all to what happened last week in terms of where Mykel Williams was injured. That'd be the Giants. We were playing out there, which is known to kill teams.
Yeah.
Players, all that. The Meadowlands, bad business. That's where Nick Bosa's first one happened. I just don't like that turf. Everybody talks about it. Yet again, we lose another huge player to that same exact turf, same exact position actually as well. So heartbreaking, but we got the dub 34-24. Obviously, Cam Scatabo got a big injury as well. And so that
looked gross.
That's over with. Season done. So get well soon, young man. But we were able to do our thing. The score I thought looked a little closer in the end than it kind of was. Felt like we we had that. But Jackson Dart's exciting.
Yeah.
He was doing some things. We struggle with
Big
kind
Dart.
of mobile. Yeah, we struggle with mobile folks. So that team could have a little future, with Neighbors and some of those guys coming back. I like that guy Dart. But again, when you look at this game, it's a game where great coaching happened. I think you're making the most of who you have out there. I think you're scheming a lot based on what the defense is showing. Mac Jones, not the greatest of showings, but like really did everything we needed. 235, 19 for 24, 2 tutties, right? You look at C-Mac, what else can you ask from the guy?
I do everything.
28 carries, 106 yards, a touchdown. Receiving, no worries, 5 receptions, 67 yards, also another touchdown.
Give me that.
So I'll just be 2 players for you. It's not a problem. I'll be running back 1 and I'll be wide receiver 1. Cleveland Farrell, a familiar name, has got a sack.
Oh boy,
and he's back again on the Niners. He's back again on the Niners, and he was a big Raider guy, right? This was a guy who had a big success with the. No, I'm just playing.
What was the fourth pick of the draft or something? Oh my god,
he was. It was what, Nick Bosa and then Cleveland Farrell. That's how it sounded when they said his name. It was like Cleveland Farrell. Oh goodness. But he's had a couple moments, kind of like Arden Key when he came over, and now he's back with us. I don't even know where he was prior, but obviously our nasty line required call-ups. And so he's one of the guys, and he got a sack. So shout out to him. And then also Bethune, my boy Tatum Bethune is a beast. This dude is a 7th-round pick from last year, 2024 draft. He had 16 tackles, I think, this last game. So far, he has 54 tackles since taking over for Fred Warner. The dude is a dude. And just seems like, God, how do we keep finding guys like this?
Who's the Raiders do that? Like Nick Kuntz, was it? That ended up, came out of nowhere and just was leading the league and tackles.
Bro.
That's what sounds like this guy.
Exactly. 16 tackles, 8 solo, all over the place. And I think last week had 12, and the week before that 10. So just double-digit guy taking over in what kind of really looks like a mix between Fred and what D or Dre used to do, in terms of just he's not really Fred in coverage, right? But the tackling, he's really there. And man, it'll be great, right? If we get D's still out there, but if it's D, Tatum, Bethune, and you get All-Pro Fred back next year, there are things to be excited for. It's sad that we're midway through or less than midway through, and we are kind of, even with a winning record, having to talk about next year.
Right.
But you have to be proud of this team, right? 6-3, 4-2 in the division, in what I think is a tough division. And so, we'll see how this is going to keep going. I think week to week, I've told you guys the same story, right? Where we're going to ideally keep winning. Hopefully it's not tied to the sacrificial aspect of our players, because every week it seems as though that's what's happening, where we're giving up a real guy, but we're getting a good win. And so we won't last at this rate, obviously. We won't have guys out there come the Super Bowl, as I keep saying. But, hey, man, if we want to keep winning, I love it. I love good football. I love good coach teams. This team is not scared to play together, not scared to show up and try to show out.
Yeah.
And so, let's see truly how long, this is going to be able to be sustainable. But Mac Jones, Mac Jones, you got to say, is a guy who is proving in the right situation should be QB1.
Yeah.
Right?
Pushing Brock out the...
Not that, but you know what I mean? I'm talking about elsewhere. I mean, he's definitely our bona fide backup, and at the end of the day, it's good to have 2 guys that we feel comfortable playing. But I think elsewhere, somebody's got to give him a job after this. And if not, we'll take him. You know what I mean? Surely. But as we've seen with all the other backups that we ever give this kind of glimpse to, Darno, all these guys in the past, they're all going to go get a job, right? Next week, we have a real toughie, right? This is the Rams. This is the game that I said we were probably going to split. And so... so far I've been really on point. It's been just, I've gotten 3 wrong, obviously. And I think that the one that I got wrong, actually, no, I think I did say, well, we'll have to look at the tape. But I am pretty sure that I did say we'd have a couple losses by here. But I know I didn't say 3. But I think that the overall record at the end of the season I had is only losing 3 games. Maybe even 2. And we're still close to that. I mean, this schedule doesn't have a lot of scary me on the schedule left. But the Rams, this will probably be the toughest game other than the Colts, I think, down the stretch in terms of like real, wow, okay, we'll see what we're made of with whoever's out there.
Right.
I predicted a split. Usually we do. So I'm going to say that again. I think that the Rams probably will get us here. I definitely would not be saying that if we were all forces go, all hands on deck, but it is what it is, right? So there's that. And then from there, I think that, if we play how we're playing, we could finish strong, right? We could see a fair amount of dubs. And I think we're definitely a playoff team with this schedule. The question is, just like was answered, I guess, at the deadline, is this team good enough to actually be thinking, any long-term thoughts in terms of this season, playoffs and beyond? I don't think so. But I'm willing to keep watching, right? So salute to y'all, salute to the faithful, salute to that front office, and Shanahan for not giving up on the guys, right? Showing up week in and week out. And let's hope for the best and get well soon, Mykel Williams, man. Awesome season, cut short. Can't wait to see it next year. I hate to see it, man, but I know you're going to come back better. So excited to see you next year, man. Any notable matchups for this week before we move away from football? Let's look real fast.
I got the Colts 7-2 going against the Falcons. One team doing their thing. The Falcons trying to bounce back after a couple tough games right at the last few weeks.
Yeah, nasty.
Who
you got there?
For them, I'm gonna go with the Colts. I mean, Jonathan Taylor looking like an MVP this season.
Yeah.
Falcons are up and down. I think Michael Penix is kind of a toss-up.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins get in there, maybe change things up a little bit, but I don't know. The Colts have been kind of dominating this season.
Yeah, absolutely.
Indiana Jones.
Right. He's been bossing up.
Mm-hmm.
Next over here, we have Giants and Bears. We'll just go through all of them because why not? We can do it very quickly. Here I have, again, I'm going to take the Bears. I think that they haven't unlocked their offense. They haven't figured it out yet, but I think that they will. And really, again, this is more about 0-5 in their division, 2-7 in general. The Giants just don't have enough to get it done, in my opinion.
Next, we got the Bills and the Dolphins. Dolphins are trash. Nothing to look forward to besides Achane. Bills probably going to be a dog walk. Josh Allen doing his thing. James Cook, probably another double-digit touchdown season.
Killing them.
6-2 versus 2-7. I mean, it'll have to be a terrible upset in Miami. So absolutely. I got the Bills.
Yep. Next, we have Ravens versus Vikings, and this is in Minneapolis. I think that the Ravens take this. I think Lamar is back. I think so. It's a lot more, it's a closer resembling team than we thought they were going to be in the beginning of the year. And I think that this is where they kick it into gear. And I think that, as people were saying, they may be the first team to potentially reach the playoffs after starting 1-5.
Justin Jefferson not looking too good with JJ
quarterback
out
plays.
there.
Quarterback plays sus over there.
Yeah. Next game, nobody's going to watch or pay attention to, nor should you. We got the Browns versus the Jets. Really don't watch either of these teams, so I don't really have nothing to say about them. Not an exciting game. No, I'm just kidding. I think the Browns should be putting in Shedeur Sanders. At this point, it's just there's no excuses.
Why not?
Their team's trash, and he can bring some hope to it. Saw a little bit in preseason. Sure, the players would rally around him more than they do Dylan Gabriel. So, but I'll go with the Browns on it.
Yep. In the next game, probably would be my matchup of the week. We have the Patriots at Buccaneers. That's in Tampa. Both these teams have just good quarterback play. Obviously, Drake May has awoken, and Baker has turned himself into the clutch quarterback in our league right now.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Tampa Bay is not really, full strength right now. So based on what I've seen lately, I'm going to end up going with the Patriots, but it really is hard to go against Baker if it's going to be a close game. But I got to lean the Patriots. I got to lean them being a little more healthy, and I think that defense is just a little better.
All right. Next, we got the Saints and the Panthers. I got the Panthers looking pretty good with Bryce Young, kind of galvanizing that team. The Saints are terrible. They lost Rashid Shaheed to the Seahawks. Alvin Kamara hasn't been looking like himself, and Spencer Rattler, he's like 1-16 in his career right now as a quarterback. So really not much to look forward to with that team, offensively or defensively. And the Panthers, like I said, seem to be rallying around Bryce Young, and then they have that boy Uncle Rico Dowdle absolutely tearing it up on the ground,
killing it.
So I got to go with the Panthers over the Saints.
Next, we have Jaguars, Texans, and that is at the Texans in Houston. This is a little bit of a tough one to call. I think the Texans are I think both these teams are some of the weirdest teams in the league in terms of trying to call who they're going to be week to week. Seems like some weeks they look like good teams. Mm-hmm. Some weeks they really have identity. And then other weeks it's just like, I don't want to watch this. Mm-hmm. So, it's hard for me, but I'm going to lean towards the Jaguars here. I just think that the Texans were building momentum and have just showed that, like, I don't know what it is. Something's broken over there. It might be CJ Stroud, but it just ain't right.
Yeah.
It just ain't right. So I'm going to lean the Jags and just hope that T-Law is able to pull it through.
Handling business. Moving on, we got the Cardinals versus the Seahawks. Seahawks, like I just said, just got Rashid Shaheed. They've been having some injuries with their wide receivers, but him and Jackson Smith-Njigba can take care of the passing game. Mm-hmm. And then we got Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker on the ground game, tagging teaming it with Sam Darnold doing this thing at quarterback. On the other side, we got Jacoby Brissett going to be taking over. Kyler Murray, they're still not ready to bring him back. So over the past couple of weeks, this has been able to unlock Marvin Harrison Jr. and Trey McBride, especially when it comes to touchdowns. So I think it's going to be an exciting game. I do see the Seahawks taking this one, but I think the Arizona Cardinals right now are just playing a little bit better with Jacoby Brissett, so they'll still make it an interesting game. I'm going with the Seahawks.
And I must say, Jackson Smith-Njigba, 58 receptions, 948 yards, 4 tutties in 8 games.
That's why I call him my nigga.
Wow. That boy. Yikes. Next, we have the Rams versus the Niners. Again, as I said, I'm probably going to lean Rams here. I love the Niners. We always play super well against them. They got to come into our building. But as everybody knows, SoFi is also our building, so that's never really the big difference maker. So, I got to lean towards them. Usually we split this season series.
Right. After that one, we got the Lions versus the Commanders. The Commanders going down. No Terry McLaurin. They got no Jaden Daniels. Marcus Mariota's got to be out there. Lots of questions in the backfield with Jakrowski Merritt and Chris Rodriguez. They don't know who they want to take over. The Lions team with a big offense. I think there's a game where Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams really show out, and they really lengthen the field this one. And I can kind of see a blowout coming with the Lions winning this one.
Yeah. Sad what's happening to Jaden Daniels this year, man.
Man, terrible.
Next
RG3.
Right. I don't think it's I'm praying it's not anything like that, but also that team I think overachieved last year, and they're dealing with a little bit of the hiccups from overachieving. Next we have Sunday Night Football 5:20, the main matchup for America. Steelers-Chargers. This will be in Inglewood at SoFi Stadium. Again, these are two teams that match up very interestingly.
Yeah.
To me on paper feels like a close game. But also these are the type of teams where one of them offensively could just not even show up on the day. So we'll see. I'm thinking probably really low scoring, but I usually call that and ends up being high scoring. And here I'm just going to have to lean with the Chargers. I just think they're younger. I think that they're a little more athletic and a little better in the areas that are going to matter.
Nice. And then we end the week with Monday Night Football. Man, this is a huge toss-up to me. We got the Eagles going against the Packers. Both teams is kind of like, what is going on? I know they both are above 500 right now, but the last couple of weeks of them playing, I know the Eagles are coming off a bye, hoping that's going to rejuvenate them.
Right.
I think the Packers come off a tough one this last week, but
lost to the Panthers.
So both teams are looking a little iffy right now. What's going on with Micah Parsons in that defense? Are they going to be able to figure it out when it comes to the Eagles? Are they going to be able to figure out A.J. Brown and their offense moving forward? I'm going to go with the Eagles on this one, but it's really a toss-up. I'm just doing that because they're the defending champs. I think for some reason in my mind, I think they're going to figure it out. I think it'll be a close game as well, but wouldn't be surprised to see the Packers come out on top. But going Eagles on this one.
There we go. So that's the matchups for the week. You can check us if you'd like. Put in the comments if you think there was something different in terms of the matchups. And I hope you guys enjoy another week, obviously, of NFL football. Moving on, we have the NBA. So we have a little season update real fast. But most importantly, we have a Warriors update.
Right.
We have the Warriors currently sitting at 5-4. Second in the Pacific or whatever in our little I don't know what you call that. It's not the conference division.
Pacific division.
And so we're straggling along. We've had some vets going in and out, a little bit of injury load management, whatever you want to call it. But it's not looking super cohesive right now. So I'll let you dive in and give your take so far on the first 9 games.
Well, right now, currently, we're not looking too hot against the Denver Nuggets. So if we don't come back in this one right now, we'll end up being 5-5. And we got tale of 2 different 5-cluster games. The first 5 games of the season, 4-1. The last 5 games, 1-4. I just think it's going to be that kind of season for the Warriors this year. I think it's going to be a very big roller coaster. We're going to have good times, and we're streaky is the best way to put it. Is we'll run off a few when we have some good matchups, maybe some other teams coming off some double headers on the back end that we can take advantage of. But what we've seen so far is like this team, it's really hasn't figured it out totally. Like, I don't think these young guys have been able to mesh well this season so far with our older guys. I don't think the game plan is fully there with integrating these new guys, and somebody like Jonathan Kuminga getting more time and more attention. I think he's been showing out really good, but when it comes to the Draymond, Steph really hasn't been showing up. Like, he had one 42-point game, but really other than that, he's kind of just been floating around out there and hasn't really taken control of a lot of games. He kind of been, leaving that off for Jimmy to do, or having Pajimski being somebody who's running the point guard instead of him. So I'm hoping we can stay the ship, but right now we have a lack of height, like always, like we've had this whole time. And then just the cohesion right now is just maybe we'll play good for a quarter or two, but then we'll have a huge letdown for a quarter, and then we'll be up 7, and all of a sudden, the end of the third quarter, we're down by 12. So it's just too much fluctuation right now in how we're playing. But again, it's only a small sample size, 10 games. But as you can see, 5 games, 4-1. Next 5, 1-4. I kind of see that happening a lot this season.
Yeah, for me, I'm a little different. I definitely feel like, when you look at it, it obviously is split in that manner. But you have to look at who was playing in those games as well. And so first 5, we had everybody there, felt great. Last 5, nobody was there. So for me, I'm definitely a little different in terms of how I feel about like the up and down nature. To me, it's about health, right? Like, I think if we're there, I think what we've showed already is that we can beat the good teams. Will we be able to get ourselves up as one of the older teams to play these not so good teams is where I'm more concerned. I'm not actually worried about this team. I think this team has in my opinion, will have good cohesion. We got the pieces. I really like the pieces. And we're not getting out-rebounded at all. The main issue that's really happening is we're still dealing with turnovers, a major level of turnovers, which to me were inflicted very often early on, a ton by Steph and Dre. And to me, that's unacceptable. And that's obviously going to have to be figured out, right? But those are things that I think those star players are ready to deal with, look themselves in the mirror and figure it out. I think our rotations are good. I love our rookies so far. We spanked Denver already this year. Obviously, playing tonight, we don't have Steph. They're full strength. So, I think that they were ready for it. And, it's going to be tough when you've showed up on a primetime game and beaten a team that might think that they should beat you. And then they get an opportunity a week later, right? And you're not full strength. This is the NBA, right? So you're going to get caught like that. But I'm definitely in a much different spot in terms of how I look at this team. And I think that when you look at our big-time matchups, is to me where I more put the totem pole next to our team and look at how they've played in those moments where we've played teams so far that I look at as playoff teams. And we've done phenomenal. And I think that if we were to be in a series, I like the way it would look for us. I think it'd be harder with the pieces we have to figure us out in 7 games than it would be for us to assimilate to what other teams are doing in 7 games. And we're good defensively, right? Again, my main thing is always going to come down to, are our big players going to value the ball in the clutch? And I don't know if there's any other pair beyond Steph and Dre that can do it in such rapid succession,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, how did we just lose 3 out of 4 possessions in a minute and a half? That's not even if we had just held the clock and not even gotten a shot, it would have probably been more productive than 3 out of 4 losses in that short of a time, right? And so, when I look at us playing teams like Portland, right, where the streak started really of us going downhill, right, like that is unacceptable with a full strength team to chalk that up. I'm not sure if Jimmy was there that night, but we had plenty, right? And so for me, I worry about that, right? I worry about the motivation level of these teams that we perceive to be below us. And will we have enough rookie and youth in the team to always maintain that fight in those days? It's hard to tell. Obviously, with that, the loss to Sack with nobody out there as well. Great to see Will Richard going for 30 in his first start.
Right, for sure.
Right? I mean, guys are playing out their mind. I think it's phenomenal. When Melton gets back, I think it's going to be great. I love the way Quentin Post is playing. Al Horford is doing exactly what I thought he would. For me, again, it's going to be right now we have enough pieces that I think they need to fine-tune exactly, who they want in the different matchups that are going to require different things from our bigs. And that is where I think it's a little bit muddy. But I think finally we have the pieces that we can actually work with in terms of putting different lineups out there to match up and have an identity going towards different things throughout a game. So it'll be, a battle of nutrition this year. Can we all be out there long enough to build momentum? And, I think that Steve understands now we're not going to make it far without infusing this team with the youth. And I think that they drafted, especially Will Richard, with the mindset of there's a reason he stayed longer in college. There's a reason he's a champion. There's a reason he's won everywhere. And we're willing to trust him more than they would with a normal one and doneer or some of these other younger guys we've been more normal at picking lately. And so, that's kind of where I'm at. Again, 5-4 isn't great. But we all know how quick the NBA is in terms of, what these standings end up looking like. It's going to be about 30 games until you get, a real assessment of, what's going to happen. And when you look around the NBA, a lot of teams are doing very weird load management stuff. People are getting fined, suspended all across the board. So it'll be interesting to see how this year pans out with that in general, mixing in all the betting as well. But I'm excited. I'm excited for this team. And I think, again, if Steph can, like you mentioned, he can start showing up, which I believe he will. And we all know Steph loves to start slow in seasons. I think that this team could be about as dangerous as I see across the board. I mean, OKC obviously looks nice, right? But as much as the people big up the West, I don't see a lot of teams that every night I go, that's scary. And maybe the Thunder are that one team right now, but even them, to be real, they look beatable. They just look like they're one of the teams that enjoy coming to work every night and are kind of in that prime flow state. But we'll keep monitoring it. As you guys know, we'll keep you guys updated with everything. The score right now before we move off them is 83-69. And this is an NBA Cup game, right? And so we'll explain that at some point later. We don't, I always forget how those
check the Instagram for that one.
What works for what. Yeah, exactly.
But to your point, that's why I say I think it's going to be a roller coaster season, is because your injury, the injuries, and load management, where it's okay, we're going to have them for 3 or 4 straight games, and then it's all right, I need a day or two. And to your point, we don't have a lot of the depth that we need in terms of our young players to win those games when all those guys are out. And it kind of shows when we don't have them. Even losing to the Pacers are shorthanded as well.
That was another game that we should have won.
We should have won that
1,000%.
one.
Those were the two.
And those can happen even when we have our good players because of all those turnovers you're talking about.
Absolutely. Yeah, those are all the games that you look at where it's just
we lose to the Bucks because we let Ryan Rollins go off.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? These games are super gross that we're losing.
They were
the
all
Kings,
winnable.
The Pacers, the Bucks, they're all
winnable. And the teams we
games.
beat are nasty. Lakers, Denver. We've gone through some guys, but we'll have to string together some long-term stretches, in order to really feel good about the team. But
And they're gonna that's something I feel like that Steph and Dre and them do is all right, let's take this chunk of the game, this 20 games to solidify ourselves so that we can be iffy for the rest of the season and take some more time off.
Yes. And then hopefully Melton comes back, who I think will be a great asset as well, and just a guy that isn't just 20 or 22 trying to figure it, you know what I mean? Like a little middle
steady Eddie.
Exactly. Moving on to NCAA basketball, really we're just here because the season has started. So we're just notifying everybody. NCAA, ball is back. Obviously, football's been back for a minute, but anytime you get college ball back, really awesome. So tonight we had UNC winning over Kansas, which is pretty big. UNC's had some tough times. So seeing them get it over Kansas, who also has had some tough times, is pretty awesome. But I think Kansas has one of the best freshmen out there in Darren Patterson. And, it ended up our guy, Caleb Wilson, who is another top-tier freshman. He's going off. So they got the W. But real fast, I thought I would just go over the top 10 list of guys to look out for, freshmen, before we move on to the MLB and what happened with that crazy World Series.
And then real quick, we got Cal coming in. We got Scottie Pippen's son, or wait, no, not Scottie. We got Stephon Marbury's son on our team. So we got some youngin' stars, and then we got Sac State up the way.
Mikey
Williams, and Shaquille O'Neal's son. Shaquille O'Neal. And then Mike Bibby's coaching them. So some exciting things going on in the Bay and beyond in Northern California.
100%.
Some cool things to see out there. So check them out.
100%. Absolutely. All right, and on to the top 10 list. At number 10, we have Koa Pete and or Braden Burris. And these are both players for Arizona.
Yeah.
I know less about Braden Burris. I know more about Koa Pete. Koa Pete is a beast. Yeah. He's a lot like one of the Boozer twins, the bigger one. I think he's even a little more mobile, a little more shift to his game. Nice jumper. 6'9", 6'10".
I think he put up 30. He had like a double-double in his first game.
30. He went 30 and they beat the champs, right? Game 1 against Florida.
Yeah.
So the guy, versatile. I think he's one of the guys that will rise up this list as the season goes on, because he's going to get the ultimate green light. And I think Arizona's going to surprise a lot of people. He's 6'8" and still growing, so 6'10" is probably in the realm of what's going to happen. Yep. Next at number 9, you have Chris Sinek Jr. He's also a beast. This is a guy who would pretty surprise a lot of people by choosing Houston. Yeah. Stayed local. And he's one of these guys that's 6'11", 240. That tells you a lot about what you're bringing in freshman year. And then you add mobility. He can make shots. Right, he can play on the defensive end. I personally believe if things go as planned, he could be a top 5 pick. Yeah. With just frame, athleticism, and talent. Next, we have at 8 my boy Caleb Wilson. Man, as you can see, brings a smile to my face. I am a UNC fan. Beyond Cal, love Cal. Cal's always right there. But UNC in terms of basketball and in terms of, I've taken on football as well, even though they're not a football school, but really it always was basketball. Always been a fan. So Caleb Wilson, he is looking like one of those guys that is going to work his way definitely in the top 10, maybe top 5 conversation. Okay. True wing, 6'8", 6'7", whatever you want to call it. Real athletic, can put the ball on the floor, can hit the shots that you need. And when engaged on defense, he can really do his thing. I think at the end of the day, he could be one of the better pros that comes out of the program in a while, which is really awesome because they honestly, UNC hasn't had many good pros lately. At number 7, you have Tunde Yusufu, from Baylor. They always get one of them guys.
Somebody.
But this
never pans out in the NBA.
Except for VJ Edgecombe.
Edgecombe might be that guy.
Yeah. And this is, speaking of Edgecombe, this is pretty much Edgecombe reincarnated. Okay. Baylor knows how to go and get those, basketball Africa, we going out there. This is a super, super athletic shooting guard. Very similar. Can hit them shots, but is known really for the athleticism and his ability to play defense. So just look for him to kind of plug and play where VJ left off, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Next at 6, you have Mykel Brown Jr., who went to Louisville, another guy who had a lot of opportunities and chose one of those smaller schools to kind of do his own thing, even though Louisville is, still a blue blood.
Top tier.
Absolutely. 6'5", 190, shooting guard. I think he'll grow. High IQ, very swift with his movement. Got some shift to his game. I think he's a guy that, in my opinion, may drop compared to some of these bigger body, super athletic guys that we all know are just drooled over in the NBA. But I think he could be one of those Trey, what was his name from this year? Trey Johnson. One of those like very, very good shooters, high volume
big
scorers, right? But may not get all the other things done to get him really in the top. Next, you have Darius Acuff Jr. This is a guy I'm less familiar with, but he's a beast. Yeah, grown man body. He's going in to get coached by Coach Cal. Yep. So, things are really coming together with that program, but this is a guy they've been talking about for a while. Yeah. And so from what I've heard, it'd be hard to see him out of the top 5 based on the way he plays. So next, you have number 4, the Reebok brand athlete, Nate Ament. This is a guy that Reebok tried to grab early. I think he's going to be a star. I think they were smart for actually grabbing him the way they did. They obviously can't compete with Nike and all these other places for the big athletes, so they got to grab him early. So this guy's going to Tennessee. He is legit. This is a 6'10", skinny frame, right? Kind of gives a little bit of like a skinnier Paolo Banchero with his game, right? Like definitely more, I'd say like a little more handle, a little more flexibility with perimeter game, but not as much to the back, but still has all of it there. And definitely a guy at 6'10" who has more playmaking than people think. So I think this guy, if all things go correct, again, could kind of be like a light-skinned Amin Thompson, right? A little bit taller, and maybe not so athletic.
Versatile, 6'8" and above.
Yeah, and just maybe not so athletic. Right? Next, you have Cam Booz.
Cam Boozer.
This guy's a beast. I mean, he's a little boring, right? He's a little bit like his daddy, right? Where like, I don't think there was many people, sitting there waiting to watch Boozer highlights, right? Carlos Boozer. But you look at his stats.
Give you some double
My
doubles.
man was doing his thing, right? And there was years where he was productive across the board, and he's played winning ball. I think this is a similar kind of guy. I think he has probably more of a ceiling than his dad, but people act like his dad wasn't like a top 10 pick and like really,
he was a
know
beast.
What I mean? Like
he was a beast back with Darren Williams and the boys on the Jazz.
Come on,
they were beasts year after year.
Exactly. So I think at the end of the day, he's a guy that, he can put up gaudy numbers.
I think he's a winner.
Yeah, he's a winner, and again, another guy that if we were to look at a recent Duke, does give a little bit of Paolo Banchero again, a bigger, less mobile, so kind of the opposite of Nate Ament. But got to look out for this guy. He's his game is kind of Tim Duncan-esque in terms of like the fundamentals, really just gets it done, but nothing to write home about. But you're going to be writing home about him if your team drafts him next year. Number 2, we have Darren Peterson, the guy I was shouting out. This guy is a guy that I've had to watch a lot of. He's a walking 50. Yeah. You got to be careful with this guy. And he's definitely proven amongst all these super, super versatile bigs that like you still got to talk about him. And I wasn't very much so a believer at one point.
He's legit.
He's legit. And then lastly, we have number 1, AJ Debonsa. He reclassified as well, so he could still be down below, which is kind of wild. But the BYU commit and now current player
superstar
has been living up to the bill. He is a real 6'10". They call him 6'9", but he's growing and all that. To me, he's a legit 6'10" with about everything in the offensive bag you could want. Defensively, again, a guy when he's engaged, he can do it all. Doesn't always show that on tape just because he's spending so much energy offensively and is always really the number 1. Right. If I were to give like a who's who, I would say it's almost a reincarnation of T-Mac for real. So we'll see how that ends up panning out, but it reminds me a lot of that. So those are the freshmen to be on the lookout this year and the teams that they are playing for. Lastly, before we get out of here today, unless you have anything to add to the NCAA, we obviously got to go over what was an absolute blockbuster
Crazy.
of a freaking World Series.
David almost beat Goliath on this one. But the Dodgers came out on top, Game 7, extra innings. That boy, Yamamoto.
Man.
I mean, damn, what more can you ask for? He
Yamamoto.
was ready to come in the last 3 games. He said, I can pitch. Hey, I got this, guys.
Right.
I'll come in and throw all these games. He's definitely going to need a nice summertime off. He definitely deserves it. Won the MVP for the World Series. Handled it in a series where you didn't know if the Dodgers were going to come out of this. The offense was terrible. The pitching, the starting pitching, that was great the whole playoffs. It was not there because the Toronto Blue Jays had hitters. Vlad Guerrero was showing out. Berger was showing out. Clement was showing out. Kirk was showing out. Springer showing out. Just all around, endless. Everybody was hitting for the Toronto Blue Jays. Your Savage was throwing like a beast. Bieber was throwing like a beast. Scherzer was throwing like a beast. I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of people said the better team didn't win. But at the end of the day, Yamamoto came through for the boys. Even when Snell couldn't come through, Glass now, all them boys was down bad. He held it strong for them. And then they came out on top, man. Back-to-back champions to the Dodgers.
Right.
Looking like they're going to bring everybody back again. We got this boy Murakami from Japan, big third baseman, DH, about 26 years old. Broke the record for most home runs in Japan with 56 in the season. So
we all know where he's going.
He might go to the Dodgers. As they say, the Red Sox or the Padres have the highest chance. But
they say that every time, though.
Yeah. I'm hoping he goes to, I think it would be fun if he went to the Yankees, be one of these Japanese players that chose the Yankees over the West Coast. But with all that deferred money, he might just be like, let me just go join these boys over here in L.A. Got Shohei and Yamamoto already. So
right.
Got to shout out Vesia from the Dodgers. He was a very, very solid reliever throughout the playoffs, but unexpectedly, his daughter passed away, and so he wasn't a part of the World Series, but just very sad to see. And, our condolences go out to Vesia because he's a great guy and was really showing out and probably would have been a big difference in the World Series if he had been able to play. But
absolutely.
Sorry to hear about that. But, again, MLB season is over with the Dodgers on top, and we'll be coming to you with some off-season stuff. Make sure to look out for the shorts in our Instagram as well.
Absolutely. All righty. Well, another week in the books, y'all. Thank you for being here with us again. As always, we're wishing peace, love, and happiness to y'all. And we are signing out.